Well, good afternoon. Hope you're all right. Day's Monday again. Start again now. Handsome, innit? I reckon it's going to be hotter in Cuba come Friday. Hope so. Perhaps get a bit of tan then. Anyhow, I hope you're all right. Had a nice weekend. Now let's see. This will do the grass and do all the weeds good as well. Now this here one is a little story by Liz Arman. And then I'm going to do a little poem by David Prowse. I hope you enjoy them. This one really is about Valentine's card. I know he's in June now, but even so. Me and Alfred went to town last week to look for a special card for our cousin Ivy. It was her 90th birthday. Wow, we had a hard job find one. The racks were all stacked with hundreds of Valentine's cards. Piles of toys, balloons, teddy bears, all with red hearts on them, stuck all over the place. I said to Alfred, what a pile of foolishness. Someone must be making a ton of money out of all this. We ended up coming back to Newland and getting one over Barron's paper shop. Next day, our young granddaughter come in to see us. She wasn't looking all that happy. What's the matter, my queen? I asked her. You're looking so miserable. It's Valentine's Day coming up, Gran, she said, and I'm worried that I won't have any Valentines. Oh, I shouldn't worry about that, I said. I never had a Valentine in my life. We didn't go in for such things. In any case, it was wartime when we were young and there wasn't no paper for things like Valentine's cards. And in any case, I know that your granddad was the one for me. So it would have been a waste of money sending any. But it's different now, she said. How can I face all my friends if I don't have any Valentines? I made her a cup of coffee. Yes, me and Alfred have gone modern now and keep a jar of coffee in the spence just for the children. And after she'd eaten 2 pieces of cake, at least she hadn't lost her appetite, she went home. Alfred then made a plan. You go into Penzance to once, I told him, and get the smartest Valentine card that you can find. Then we'll send it to her anonymously. He grumbled a bit, saying how he would feel like a plum fool buying a Valentine's card at his age. But I said, don't worry about that. The dear child is going to have a Valentine. Dear of her. So off he went and come back with the prettiest card you ever saw. And the verse inside read, if these flowers are hearts entwined, will you be my Valentine? I never thought Alfred would have such good taste. I wrote it out in block letters saying, guess who, inside. And Alfred went and posted it off. Then we waited. But I tell you, on Valentine's Day, I had a surprise of my life. Alfred had bought me the first Valentine I'd ever seen in my life. It said on to the front, to my darling wife on Valentine's Day. And there was a lovely picture of roses, lilies, apple blossom and violets. And the words inside were beautiful. I put it in pride of place upon the mantelshelf. I would never in all my born days have thought Alfred would have done such a thing. It shows that you can't be too old for romance. I made some lovely dinner and tea for him that day. Next day the grandchild come in again, seeming on top of the world. Well, I said, how did he go? Did he have any Valentines? After all, the eve of the other day when you was worried about not getting any. I had loads, Gran, she said. 8 emails and scores of texts, and I'm going to a rave with Stephen next Friday and go McDonald's with William on Saturday. Didn't he have any proper Valentine's cards, I asked her. Oh, a couple, she said. One of them was all right, quite cool in fact, but the other one, really it was the pits. I had no idea at all who could have sent it. It was all covered with these horrible red roses and violets, and the soppy words inside were absolutely gruesome. I wouldn't dare show it to anyone. They would die laughing. Then she noticed my card from Alfred on the mantelshelf. Grandad, she said, did you actually send a thing like that to Granny? How could you? That's even worse than the one I had. So then, like a whirlwind, she was gone. I looked at Alfred and he looked at me. And I tell you, we felt brain flat. I suppose we'd better burn that card, said Alfred. Don't you dare, I answered. That there card is the handsomest thing I've ever had in my life, and it's going to stay up there on the mantelshelf till it falls to pieces. I didn't mean what the card said, Sarah Ann, said he. I'd love you when you was a maid, but I love 100 times more now, and to me you'll always look just the same. Well, for Alfred to make that speech, he looked some bashful, and his face was like a blood bet. I felt so full of love for him that I could have cried. I said, I hope that one day the dear child will find as good a man to love as her granda. She couldn't do no better. Now shall I make us a cup of tea and have a bit of heavy cake, and we'll sit down comfortable by the fire? I'm so glad I knew that in our time there wasn't no emails or texts. There ain't no romance in they, and I don't think we need bother to send no anonymous cards next year, do you? This here one is by David Prowse, and it just says, on your bike. I hadn't seen Jan on a push bike for the best part of 30 odd years, but I saw him last week with a clank and a squeak announced his derailleur gears. He stopped and puffed hard on a woodbine, then coughed like a fellow in pain. He tweaked at his fag, took another long drag, and proceeded to splutter again. It's good for your health, he assured me, 'tis getting about on a bike. With 3-in-1 oil and a halfpenny of toil, you can go more or less where you like. I shouldn't go far from the hospital, I advised him with a comforting pat. You've steamed up your specs. What will you do next? You can't tell your hand from your hat. I can manage all right with me glasses. Jan rubbed at his seat with a frown. But the saddle's not gouged for a man's middle age, so the problem is a bit lower down. Well, I'm off now, my handsome, he told me, for a hacksaw from son-in-law Ted. He offered me toys, but for my birthday surprise, I said, give me a hacksaw instead. 'Cause I just can't get over the crossbar. I'd be better off when he's gone. Why, I leave up St. Clair with one leg in the air, and it's crowless before I get on. Thank you very much.